Hi, and welcome to the Law Simplified. I'm Shaveen Bandarnayaka. A bit of change of pace in relation to the type of content and the type of videos that I generally put out on the YouTube channel as well as the different platforms the Law Simplified is disseminated on. But the reason for this format, the reason for this Q&A, AMA format, an Ask Me Anything format, is primarily because in general, when I make videos for the different platforms the Law Simplified is proliferated on, it's because there have been a number of questions that have been posed to me. And when I find certain questions having some pattern, so to speak, with different students from all around the world, I generally try to create a technique or a principle that you can implement, whether you are a person who has a problem with a similar concept, or someone who might not have encountered it as yet, and they can sort of foresee it and then implement it as such. But what I have often come across is the fact that most of you have a lot of questions that you send me on various platforms. Some of you send me emails, some of you send me on the official WhatsApp number, which you can access through the link in the description below. And some of you just simply send on the community pages of the online law school. And more often than not, I'm unable to answer everything and then create a technique and a principle on one particular video. That being said, this particular mode or this particular series is meant to tackle those issues. And whenever you have questions, I urge you to use the comment section on the different videos, especially on the playlists relating to the problem that you might have. And you'll notice on this channel, on the YouTube channel, there are several playlists that you can often go through, some of which are subject-based, some of which are general how to ace a law exam based, some of them are career based. And whichever video that you find interesting, that you find is helpful, make sure that if I haven't answered something, just simply put a comment and I'll get to it within at least once in 2 weeks. I'm trying to do one of these videos. But do let me know on what you want to get tackled. Now, that being said, since this is the very first episode as well, I thought I'll begin by looking quite generally at a few issues that most of you have approached me with. And by most of you, I mean my fast track and masterclass students, as well as the 30,000 plus cohort that's currently on the online law school. It's quite a vibrant community, and I do urge anyone to join it. It is, in fact, as I like to refer to it, as the $30 law school, primarily because it's a subscription-based system and you get access to substance in terms of the theory, the tutorials, the workshops, the supplemental reading, the spider graphs, essentially my life's work in terms of tutoring, mentoring, and getting students from a pass to an ace. So you can join that by going through the links in the description below. There'll be a card that pops out somewhere on this video as well, and in most other videos that you go through. So I highly recommend it in terms of getting access to not just teachings by me, but also the fact that there are some fantastic students who've gone through the program and who've interacted in those sessions. These are students that have gone on to become first class and second upper students, as well as gone on to careers in the judiciary, in politics, in academics, as well as in the legal profession. Which brings me to the very first aspect and the very first question that is often asked from me. How exactly can I sort of create a roadmap for myself? How can I create a path for myself? Because it seems quite daunting looking at all the pathways and all the methods that people implement in order to get to where they want to go. Now, in terms of being a legal professional, in terms of being someone who's well versed in the law, never limit yourself to thinking that it is only that of an attorney, a solicitor, or a barrister as being the only ways to go somewhere or get somewhere in this profession. Far from it. I released a video a few days ago, almost a week ago, which you can check out through the channel links as well as on the playlist on career guidance, where, to be fair, looking at the perspective of a lawyer or barrister or solicitor in the contemporary context today, as we look at it, is really not that cut and dry, cookie cutter molded individual that you might have seen on TV, that you might have seen and heard about in your childhood. A lawyer, a legal professional, and that's the terminology that I prefer to use, is someone who's quite versatile. It's someone who has the opportunity to really leverage not on the knowledge as such, because yes, it has an element of rote learning and you do have expertise, but what an LLB brings and what a law degree brings at that is really a new mechanism and a paradigm in how you think. And this is what employers as well as the professions outside of law are really looking at. That ability to look at circumstances, the ability to look at the world at large and any subject matter that is thrown to you, and then look at it in a manner that someone else might not be able to see. And that's the beauty of law as well. That's the beauty of this profession. You will, throughout your degree and then later in your master's or any other academic endeavor that you go on to achieve, you will see that there is a juxtaposition, there is an intersect, so to speak, between the actual law and different subject areas. I mean, in the first year itself, if you are a current student, you would be well aware of like contract law, for example, looking at practical concepts, not just of the law, but everyday economics and everyday functions. Same goes for criminal law. If you've had to face a parking fine or a speeding ticket, and how exactly that manifests itself into law and punishment and deterrence, and the balance of probability in terms of contract law versus the beyond reasonable doubt standard of proof in criminal law. All of these things not just gives you a handle above everyone else, but it also creates this opportunity that your thinking patterns and the way that you look at the world, that's what people are going to pay you for. That's what's going to really separate you from everyone else. And we see not just in one particular jurisdiction, but around the world, how legal professionals have leveraged that ability to think and become entrepreneurs, business leaders, go on to head companies for that matter, and more often than not go into government and go into politics as well as the state sector. Most leaders in the world are brilliant legal professionals at the first instance, and then they've leveraged that knowledge and that patterns of thinking into becoming world leaders. So I think you need not tunnel vision yourself, and you need not set up parameters saying, this is what I have to do in law. And I've explored this heavily in other videos as well, so I do urge you to check those out. So this is one major thing, at least, that overwhelms students as I've seen it, since most of them approach me and talk about this more often than not. So that's number one. Number two is when it comes to the selection of subject matter. And this is the second aspect that most of you tend to sort of talk about the moment I establish that, there are so many other things that you can do. The overwhelming number of subjects that are now available in contemporary university contexts means that it can be a bit daunting for students to select certain subjects, and they're not sure whether A, is it going to match up with what they intend to do later on, and B, is it going to be easy or hard? That second question, I would argue, is redundant. The fact whether something is easy or hard is not what is relevant. What is relevant is whether you will enjoy it or not. And enjoying it or not is not based on how easy it is or how hard it is, but how passionate and how motivated you are in relation to the subject matter. I've often told students who've come to me and who've said that, their passion is in the arts, in media, in music. They have different, traits, hobbies, and passions. How exactly they can leverage that with law? There's plenty of ways to do that. I've explored that in the past as well. What I urge you to do, however, is to do your research. There's countless number of times when I've spoken with students who are quite depressed, so to speak, in doing their qualifications, and they're wondering why exactly they're doing those subjects and why they're doing the law in the first place, primarily because they've not understood exactly how they can match up or rather find an intersect a happy middle between what they love to do in terms of their passions and law. So do your research. Don't just jump into something because someone has said it. Don't just jump into anything because I have said it. Jump into it because you feel comfortable that you've done the work. You've gone through every nook and cranny of the opportunities available, the options that are available, and then you've decided to, bite the bullet, so to speak, and jump into law. Don't just do it because people are telling you to do it. Don't just do it because you feel this is the best way to go about it. Don't get overwhelmed either. Do the necessary research. I've tried my best on this channel to try and show you as many different pathways as possible. And even beyond that, I'm always available, maybe not immediately, but eventually, as I always tell my students, on my official WhatsApp number as well. So you're more than welcome to drop a message, ask me about different subjects, ask me about different topics as well as different law degrees as well. If I know it, if I can help, I'm always available. Right, so this is a brand new format. I hope it is helpful as well. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions that y'all might have. It's just that I want to bring everything into one particular forum. Make sure you like and especially comment on this video so that then I know what other questions that you might have. I'll try to put time codes on these as well for those of you who want to skip around and then see what's relevant to you, whether it's worthwhile or not, because time is of the essence, especially to law students. Right. That being said, until the next time that we meet, have fun, stay safe, and as always, obey the law.